You can get a soft copy in your iPads before you. Clerk, you may proceed to call the next order.
Order number 2, notice of motion.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give notice of the following motion, which is a preliminary objection by the Governor of Nyamira County on the threshold applied for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Nyamira County. Oh, sorry. Allow me to take it again, Mr. Speaker. This is notice of motion for preliminary objection by the Governor of Nyamira County on the threshold applied for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Nyamira County by the County Assembly. Aware that pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012, on Tuesday the 25th of November 2025, the County Assembly of Nyamira approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County, noting that by letter reference SPK/CAN/1/2025 dated 25th November 2025 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 26th of November 2025, the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of the 23 members of the County Assembly that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of Governor of Nyamira County. Further noting that one of the preliminary objections raised by Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyaribo County, was a requisite what did I say? Sorry, Nyamira County. Nyamira County was a requisite threshold for passage of a motion for the removal of governor from office by impeachment, being 2/3 of the members of the County Assembly, as provided for in Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 62 of the Standing Orders of the County Assembly of Nyamira, is 24 members of the County Assembly and was not met. Now therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary objection that the threshold required for the removal of a governor from office by impeachment contemplated in Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order number 62 of the County Assembly of Nyamira was not met, and forthwith terminates the hearing of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County.
Next order.
Order number 3, motion, preliminary objection by the Governor of Nyamira County on the threshold applied for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Nyamira County by the County Assembly.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the following motion. This is a preliminary objection by the Governor of Nyamira County on the threshold applied for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Nyamira County by the County Assembly. That, aware that pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012, on Tuesday, the 25th of November 2025, the County Assembly of Nyamira approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County, noting that by letter reference SPK/CAN/1/2025 dated 25th November 2025 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 26th of November 2025, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nyamira informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of 23 members of the County Assembly that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Nyamira County. further noting that one of the preliminary objections raised by Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the governor of Nyamira County, was the requisite threshold for passage of a motion for the removal of a governor from office by impeachment, being 2/3 of the members of the County Assembly, as provided for in Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 62 of the Standing Orders of the County Assembly of Nyamira, is 24 of the members of the County Assembly and was not met. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary objection that the threshold required for removal of a governor from office by impeachment contemplated in Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order number 62 of the County Assembly of Nyamira was not met, and forthwith terminates the hearing on the proceedings on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the governor of Nyamira County. Mr. Speaker, let me first take time to explain what this motion means. We must celebrate the Senate for how refined our process has become over time. Previously, Mr. Speaker, when we have been faced before this session, by previously I mean before this current Senate, the 13th Parliament, we previously had similar situations where a county assembly will come before the Senate and they'd argue that we have impeached our governor and therefore proceed and listen to this case. And the previous ruling that had been given by the office of the Speaker, which many of us disagreed with and felt was a great travesty of justice, the greatest that has ever happened on the floor of this House, was a ruling that was made back then that an impeachment process ends at the Assembly, and what the Senate needs to look at is a case and the material of it, then make a determination whether a case has been made for the impeachment of that governor or not. However, in this present session of the Senate, we have since evolved and refined our processes better to a point where when there is a preliminary objection, the House makes a decision first, which is a good thing, Mr. Speaker, because I believe that with the coming of age of our county assemblies, together with us here in the Senate, we must continue to make the case that there is no alternative to the law. The law is the law, Mr. Speaker. We may not agree with it, it may not be in our favor today, but it is that which binds us and keeps us as a civil society. Anything in the absence of the law, Mr. Speaker, is anarchy. And in the rule of the jungle, it favors nobody. Those in power today or those that don't find the favor of the powers that be. And therefore, we must continue to make the case that in looking into the proceedings such as this, we must first satisfy ourselves as a House of the Senate that the process and the procedure went in tandem as ascribed and prescribed in law, Mr. Speaker. Section 33 of the County Governments Act, you'd believe that a plain reading of that section of the law, Mr. Speaker, is something that everybody can easily interpret. In fact, earlier today, while listening to the proceedings, Mr. Speaker, I walked over to the clerk and asked them that what happened to what we used to have back then called the Legislative Summit. I remember attending it 2016 and the subsequent years, because it used to provide a very good forum for exchange of ideas on procedure and processes between the Senate and the 47 county assemblies, Mr. Speaker. Because looking at this case, looking at the case of the two impeachments by Kericho, looking at the Isiolo case, it is clear, Mr. Speaker, that there is need for this House, as a House that protects the interests of county governments, must set in law the procedure and make it black and white clear to our colleagues from the county assembly of what is it that the Senate considers to be a foolproof process of the impeachment of a county governor, which when you undertake and you bring it here, we go straight to the process of listening to what your dispute is. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is not to tell the people of Nyamira, through their representatives, that there are no issues in Nyamira. There might be issues, and indeed, listening, because I happen to come from the region, and I know that there are many things. Remember, Mr. Speaker, in this House, we've entertained and even listened and tried to reconcile two factions of the same county assembly that were sitting in separate parts of the county, Mr. Speaker. That tells you that there is a problem in that county. But before we get there, Mr. Speaker, we unfortunately must ask ourselves whether this matter is properly before us as a house. That is a question and the import of this motion. Have we been properly invited? Has a governor come through the main door, or has it been thrown in through the windows, Mr. Speaker, to get before the House of the Senate? And as a house that argues and makes the point every day that we must remind the executive, we must remind our county assemblies that we cannot make law, because that is primarily what we do in this house, and then lead the way in violation of the law, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker. And as such, Mr. Speaker, when a matter such as this appears before us, we must be satisfied that indeed there was proper procedure that has been followed. For the last 3 sessions, and this is the part that we take the blame also, you know for a fact that we have refused, and I'm very intentional about the use of the word refused, as Parliament to pass the law on the impeachment procedure. I have never seen a law as critical as this, Mr. Speaker, that has gone round in circles as has been. I can recall from, I don't know as way back as which year, Mr. Speaker, that there has always been an attempt, but unfortunately, it never gets to the end. That means we are leaving our colleagues in the county assembly to guess and try to find their way on how to follow this procedure. These are issues, some of the issues that this motion is asking us to determine, for example, today, are matters which, if we had set out properly in an impeachment procedure bill, Mr. Speaker, then we wouldn't be debating this. By now, we'd be listening to the case by the county assembly and listening to the response from the county governor. But here we are, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, it's our country. We must be mindful of it. We have been charged with the responsibility of ensuring that we lead this nation into a state of prosperity by ensuring that people respect the rule of law. Mathematics, Mr. Speaker, is plain and simple. You know that 12 divided by 2 is 6. And you know that if you want to get a third of that 12, Mr. Speaker, then it is 4. If you want 2/3, it is 8. And you would imagine that in many of our county assemblies, Mr. Speaker, especially following through with the decision that this House made barely a year ago in the first impeachment proceedings against the governor of Kericho County, Mr. Speaker, county assemblies will be aware of the decision of this House, because this House made the decision that there is no quarter or half of a human being. That if you move on to the next, so long as it is a decimal, even if it is 0.1, then it means you go to the next, because the language of the Constitution is not less than, Mr. Speaker. That tells you it cannot be below. If it is 12 and you have 12.1, already 12, it is less than. Therefore, it cannot qualify. And it is for that reason that we have said that so long as you have a decimal beyond the 0.00, you go to the next number. That having been the case, Mr. Speaker, and if our colleagues from the County Assembly of Nyamira had taken time to read through the provisions and the ruling that this House made in that matter last year, Mr. Speaker, they will have appreciated that the requisite quorum as prescribed in law would have been 24, Mr. Speaker. The second item, which is something that I find quite strange, Mr. Speaker, that it is even in their standing orders, because that's what I had Counsel for the Assembly say. And I say this a lot with tremendous respect to Advocate Katwa Kigen, because he's a senior counsel, somebody I respect, a friend of mine, Mr. Speaker, that in the County Assembly of Nyamira, their standing orders provide for an alien creature, alien to any legislature world over, has a provision called voting by proxy. I have never heard of such an animal, Mr. Speaker. Even as you know, if you follow the proceedings of this House, Mr. Speaker, before we take any vote, the sergeant at arms, after the division bell is rung, always move round to ensure that the voting booth, all the 67 of them, if it is not occupied by an individual voting, then that machine is inactive by removal of the card. That is to prevent exactly that, because it is not possible to transfer your delegated legislation role, Mr. Speaker. And it is not possible to argue and say that I was away, I was at a funeral, and I call my colleague and say, vote for me in this or another way. Mr. Speaker, I don't know. I have not taken time to read the county assembly's standing orders of Nyamira. And if there is any other county assembly in the Republic of Kenya that has any such provisions, please delete it, because it is an illegality and there is no way that anybody can ever take you serious as a county assembly if you have such provisions in law. The parliamentary practice is as such that you vote as an individual, or if you have delegated power in the case of Senate, for example, if you're a member of a delegation and your head of delegation has given you the mandate to vote, then you can vote on their behalf as it happens. Because Senate is unique, we vote by delegations, but county assemblies vote by individual. They don't vote by delegations. And therefore, that is a second basis upon which we are being asked as a House to consider that particular matter. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if this House agrees with this motion as moved, it basically means we have not told the County Assembly of Nyamira that you don't have a case before us. We have only told you that the case is not properly before this House. Should you go back, organize yourself, get the requisite numbers and bring it, then we shall open the file and listen to your issues. And you will not be the first that this has happened to. I'll give you the unfortunate example of my own county, that when they came here the first time, they had a similar issue on threshold. And this House sent them back. They went and did what they needed to do. Mr. Speaker, it's not to say that I'm encouraging the County Assembly of Nyamira to go back and do that which they did. That's a decision of their own, Mr. Speaker, but matters must be properly before us. As we speak today, Mr. Speaker, it still pains me when I see two governors, one of them actually Governor Mike Sonko and Governor, what was his name? Governor of Waititu. The truth of the matter, any human being knows that threshold was never achieved in those two county assemblies. In fact, if you read through the pleadings that were brought before us, it was clear and obvious. Yet this House, back then, because of the prevailing political environment in the country at that particular time, we were told in black and white that you are not the county assembly. Don't count. Just proceed and listen to the case. I am happy that at least we have refined our processes to a point that county assemblies know that we will come and check. We will have to satisfy ourselves that you followed the procedure, Mr. Speaker, before eventually making a determination. I made a request earlier on, Mr. Speaker, and perhaps this is my last point because I don't need to belabor. This is a very straight point matter. I want to make my submissions and request the counterpart leader from the minority side to second, then we can listen to our colleagues and make a determination so that if our colleagues are satisfied that those 2 points don't matter, we can proceed and listen to the case. Otherwise, if they choose to be firm and say this is the true state of the matter, Mr. Speaker, because unfortunately, colleagues, the maxim of law making is as such that you must always remember the law that you pass in the hands of your worst enemy. Colleague senators, tomorrow you can be a cabinet minister, you can be a president, a deputy president, Mr. Speaker, a governor. Will it satisfy you if you know that the procedures of our country are such that even if 5 people met and they say we have impeached you, then the processing house will listen and say it doesn't matter? Numbers do matter, Mr. Speaker. I don't believe that it was out of lack of something useful to include in our constitution dispensation, Mr. Speaker, that we set a threshold and a limit that must be attained before a governor comes to this House. And therefore, I convene, having said that, Mr. Speaker, the last point that I wanted to say is that I hope after this process, number one, I want to make the case that we must return the legislative summit. 1, 2, 3 county assemblies tells you that there is a problem in our county assemblies, that there is something that we don't seem to be reading from the same script. An impeachment is not just a political tool to be used on your enemy. It is a procedure of law which unfortunately you must either attain, and if you fail to attain it, Mr. Speaker, there are consequences to it. Why should we go back to the legislative summit? It is so that this House, led by a very competent technical staff, Mr. Speaker, can set out, including, Mr. Speaker, the charges that needs to be brought before us. I don't want to say a lot because I have to balance also between the things that I say, Mr. Speaker, and appearing as if I disagree completely with what the county assembly is saying. But I believe even in laying out the charges before a county governor, we must then provide the template as parliament. I think today's charges, Mr. Speaker, and I've listened to close to 20 impeachments in this house, was the longest. The charges were read for almost 30 minutes. Even the person being accused, Mr. Speaker, by the time they are rising to plead, either guilty or not, they have forgotten what the initial charges were, Mr. Speaker. We must at least do better and develop the template for that particular item, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I don't want to say more than that. I think I have said everything that I need to say. Colleagues, the decision is yours. I want to sit and listen also. That's my perception and what I feel about this particular matter. But ultimately, the decision is yours. Remember, you're seated as a jury, and ultimately, you have to satisfy yourself before making a decision whether to proceed and now open the case or terminate it because it is not properly before us. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Leader of Minority, Justice Retired Stewart Matsayo, to second this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, kwanza nataka kuunga mkono aliyosema yote ndugu yangu Aaron Chiriot. Kitu cha kwanza lazima tuelewe kwamba huu ni mtihani mkubwa sana ambao sisi kama senators katika hili bunge lazima tuzingatie. Kitu cha kwanza ni kwamba kumwachisha kazi ama kuangalia zile taratibu za kumwachisha kazi gavana wa Kisii sio jambo jipya kwetu. Lakini kitu ni kwamba cha kusikitisha ni kwamba katika hizi counties zote ambazo sisi tunaweza kwamba tuko hapa na tunazisaidia ni kwamba masikizano yanakuwa kidogo sana. Mimi ningeomba kitu kimoja. Ukiwa gavana kuwa na taratibu za kusikiza wenzako, kuwa na taratibu za kuelewana na wenzako ili uweze kuendesha uongozi wako bila matatizo yote. Hivi sasa tunaona ya kwamba kuna mstakabali mmoja umeletwa hapo katikati ya kwamba kesi hii iweze kumalizwa. Ni kweli tumefanya kesi kama hizi hapo awali. Lakini kesi hii ni kesi ya kunukuu, ni kesi ya kuangalia kwamba je, ile nambari ambayo imepewa inaweza kushuka chini? Je, nambari ile ambayo imepewa kama ni ya 24 inaweza kupanda juu? Kitu ni kwamba ndio muhimu sana sisi kama maseneta, ndugu zangu, nataka tuangalie, je, hii goli ikiwa iko pale unaweza kuitoa ukaweka mahali pengine? Jibu ni kwamba la. Swala hili lilo mbele yetu ni swala muhimu sana na ni lazima tuweze kulijibu na lazima tuweze kuchukua msimamo. Mimi nataka kuomba maseneta, wakati huu mgumu ambao tuko nao, kumwachisha kazi mtu ni kitu ambacho kunaweza kuleta hasara. Watu wa nyumbani kule Nyamira ni watu wanataka waweze kusikizana. Sisi tunaweza kusema yote haya, lakini ikiwa kama nyumbani hakutakuwa na masikizano, hata ukiregeshwa wewe kama gavana unaweza kujipata katika kona mbaya na vile vile ukarudi hapa tena. Na hii kwa sababu si mara ya kwanza, ingekuwa bora zaidi tuchukue msimamo ili jambo kama hili lisiweze kutokea tena. Ningependa kuunga mkono aliyosema yote ndugu yangu Chiriot, na kwamba maseneta hivi sasa mlioko, tumieni akili zenu kuamua hii kesi kama vile ambavyo Wakenya wote saa hizi popote wale walipo wanaweza kuangalia na kujua kwamba hii ni nyumba ambayo inaweza kuchukua hatua na ni nyumba ambayo inaweza kukata kesi bila upendeleo wa aina yoyote, upande huu au upande huu, na kuweza kuonyesha Wakenya ya kwamba Senate ndio nyumba ambayo iko juu. Asante sana.
Now, honorable senators, I will now proceed to propose the question, which is that that pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012, on Tuesday, 25th November 2025, the County Assembly of Nyamira approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County. Noting that by letter reference SPK/CAN/1/2025, dated 25th November 2025, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on 26 November 2025, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nyamira informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of 23 members of the County Assembly that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Nyamira County. Further, noting that one of the preliminary objections raised by Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County, was that the requisite threshold for passage of a motion for the removal of a governor from office by impeachment being 2/3 of the members of the County Assembly, as provided for in Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 62 of the Standing Orders of the County Assembly of Nyamira, is 24 members of the County Assembly was not met. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary objection that the threshold required for removal of a governor from office by impeachment contemplated in Section 33 of the County Government Act and Standing Order 62 of the County Assembly of Nyamira was not made, and forthwith terminates the hearing on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County. Now, the floor is open for debate. Yes, what is your intervention, Senator Lelegwe?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise on a point of order, order number 111, to limit debate to 5 minutes for each speaker, and propose that we have 5 for both sides. 5 each. For each side.
5 minutes, 5 minutes. Order, honorable senators. Honorable senators, there is a motion that has... Just take a seat, Senator Kajwang. Don't engage your colleague directly. You have to do it through the chair. Now, honorable senators, that is a motion that has been proposed, a motion to limit the time within which an individual senator should speak. Now, we may process it in an official manner or through a consensus. His proposal is, if you get an opportunity to speak, you do so for not more than 5 minutes. He has gone further and stated that each side of the aisle, 5 senators from each side of the aisles. Do we leave it at the 5 minutes per senator speaking and see how far we'll go with it? Very well. So then if you get to the floor, if you take to the floor, you speak for more than 5 minutes. You don't have to exhaust the 5 minutes. You can do so even in a minute so that we can have as many. Yes, sir. Honorable members, let's see how far we can stretch it. Let's see how far we can stretch it. Senator Chirange, Senator Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very interesting motion. I agree that many people don't know that impeachment process is a political process. It's both civil and criminal at some where it can be measured. Either is beyond reasonable doubt, Mr. Speaker, or based on probabilities. Mr. Speaker, as I was listening to the majority leader moving, I remembered the case of Odinga and other versus IEBC in 2017 in the presidential petition. Mr. Speaker, and the decision of court then was not based on the outcome. It was based on the process and procedure that was followed, Mr. Speaker. So if the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya in Raila Odinga versus others and the IEBC was solely on the regularity, the processes, even how the electoral process was done from the time a voter kit was being acquired to the level that the voting was being done, Mr. Speaker, that matters. So I want to say that this issue, the process and procedure must be very important, Mr. Speaker. And that is why I agree with the mover of the motion that as a House, Mr. Speaker, we have slept on our laurels by not ensuring that we pass Impeachment Procedure Act, Mr. Speaker, that Article 181 of the Constitution 2010 of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. So Supreme Court has settled the matter of procedure and the importance of processes, and that was decided, Mr. Speaker. So I want to advise, because I have sat from the governor's side and the county assembly side, they are agreeing that 23 people voted. But if you do the math, it should be 23.33, and when you triangulate, it should be 24, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the fact that we have agreed that the principle of Section 33 has not been met, Mr. Speaker, then it brings a lot of questions. The issue is the Senate is a trial chamber. Do we proceed and listen to the matter to full conclusion like in Kericho 2? Or do we proceed and terminate like in Kericho 1, for instance, Mr. Speaker? And I think these are issues that we must ensure we discuss at any given point, Mr. Speaker. Even the reading of Article 177, Mr. Speaker. You remember that, and I wanted to seek that clarification at that point before we rose in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, was on the issue of whether the Senate at that time constituted the county assembly, whether there was vacancy, Mr. Speaker. And those were the questions that we needed clarity on, Mr. Speaker, because I can see my light is on. Mr. Speaker, the question is, you know, at least you are a senior lawyer, there is a principle of maxims of equity. Mr. Speaker, is this a case who seeks equity must do equity? That is a question to the county assembly. Or is it a question, equity is the vigilant, not the indolent? And those are principles of maxims of equity that the House and the wisdom that will be subjected, Mr. Speaker, whether will decide to proceed with the process or not, Mr. Speaker. But I think, Mr. Speaker, in my own opinion, justice should be seen to be done, not only done, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the people of Nyamira are looking upon us that should we go to full trial and listen to the issues that have been set under Article 181, Mr. Speaker, of the Constitution on abuse of office, issue of incompetence, issue of corruption, the running of the government, Mr. Speaker. It is the way that we can ensure that either we enrich the growth of devolution, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, one of the oversight tools, and I want to agree with MCS, and disabuse, one of the oversight tools, Mr. Speaker, in this country, under devolution, Mr. Speaker, is also impeachment. That's the issue on oversight, Mr. Speaker. It is you either do an impeachment as part of oversight or any other forms of oversight, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, when the voting will come, let us listen keenly. We are the judges, Mr. Speaker, and you know judges will only come out with judgment, either concurring or dissenting at that point. So, Mr. Speaker, I retreat to my chamber and consider and listen to the wisdom of Koris or lack of it. Mr. Speaker, I raise my case.
Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like your protection from Majority Leader who is talking on his phone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I happen to be in a very unique and complex position. As a member of the Kisii delegation, which is a neighbor to Nyamira, who are our brothers, this matter has been running for as long as I remember, since I became a senator in this house. Members of the County Assembly have constantly disagreed over the issues in Nyamira, and on several occasions, different individuals have been blamed for the issues that have been happening and the things that have been happening in Nyamira. I don't want to spend a lot of time explaining those things. Mr. Speaker, even when that is a very complex and maybe completely political issue which needs to be sorted out, I stand and defend my positions based on the law. If the law is what we have decided to follow as a people who want good governance and administration, who want to provide services to their people, then, Mr. Speaker, we really have to agree that we are going to follow the law. My wish would have been that we listen to all the charges that have been brought, but then that means that we would have preempted the discussions about the issues of the PO and indeed the rest of this case. My suggestion would be, if members of this House feel that the threshold was not reached, then we accept that as a position. And the problem that I was unable to interrogate, Mr. Speaker, was that in Nyamira there were 3 members of the County Assembly who were not there when these elections were taking place. Not the ones who traveled, but there are about 3, I think 2 were having by-elections the other day, and 1 I think had passed on, and they had not been at the Assembly for close to 2 years. So what many people were asking me as I was sitting here is, the fact that these people who've been at the County Assembly have only been 23, what does it mean? My worry is, if you are going to impeach Mr. Nyaribo with 21 or 22 members of the County Assembly, and this House convicts, there's a likelihood the court will actually refuse to convict. And Mr. Speaker, what I would want to encourage my colleagues here is that let us follow the law and make a decision whether that law is good or bad. My point, Mr. Speaker, is that we have set precedent, and the precedent is there on Kericho 1, there's precedent on Kericho 2, and all that precedence does exist. But I also, Mr. Speaker, wanted to mention that I was very impressed with Cattle Keegan's argument that when you have those people, if they are 21 or 22 in the County Assembly, does the law actually allow them to then vote because they're the ones who are sitting there, or can they then even vote through proxy and continue making the arguments they're making? So my argument, Mr. Speaker, is that if the law, which is that the threshold should have been 24 members of the County Assembly, and that threshold was not arrived at, then, Mr. Speaker, we should let the matter rest. Thank you so much.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at the beginning, when I listened to the PO, I saw it as a straightforward case of 35 times 2/3. That's what I saw. And I was persuaded. However, both parties have invited me to want to hear more. Both the governor and the County Assembly. What do I mean, Mr. Speaker? People watching me in Nyamira now want us to respond to the concerns by the County Assembly. Nowhere in the jurisprudence of this country have we ever tested the issue of who is voting at the 2/3 majority. What do I mean? You all know, in this House, we have been voting with the threshold of 24, even when our brother, the late Cheptumo, was gone. Now, what has been brought by the County Assembly, they are telling us, please remember there were 3 MCAs who are not in that County Assembly. This is the time for us to prosecute that, and therefore we should give parties an opportunity to prosecute that matter. We see which way it should go, so that colleagues We guide county assemblies. We even guide this Senate. But what shall we be doing in the event members are not in plenary? Number two, Mr. Speaker, again, parties have invited me on the issue of voting by proxy. You all speak good English. Voting proxy simply means a member of a team, like the one in the county assembly of Nyamira, asking another member to vote for him specifically in the same manner he would have voted. Let's not be emotional. Even in this house, we normally ask the leader of the delegation to tell the appointed the delegation to vote exactly in the manner the leader of that delegation would have voted. So we need again to hear submissions from both parties so that it would help us to know in future how shall we be handling this kind of issue. My final point, Mr. Speaker, again invited by both parties, is that they talked about letters. We didn't know letters were brought. This is the time for us to allow them to prosecute the matter, to show us these letters, just in the same way we did in the Kericho 2, and those ones who thought this had not taken place, they were given an opportunity. Mr. Speaker, finally, but not least, the county assembly has come here for justice, looking for justice. So has the governor. It is therefore makes us stronger, more credible, more fatherly by hearing both. Let the PO be determined after we have heard the whole manenos, the whole issues, then we make a decision. I want to defeat in my submission the points raised by the Senator of Kericho, leader of majority. It is bigger than what you think. Kericho 1 was straightforward, Kericho 2 was straightforward. This one, both parties are not in agreement. In Kericho 1, we all remember, both parties were in agreement about the number of MCAs who had participated. For your information, leader of the majority, if you go by the presentation by the governor, it means 23.3 people voted, which we round to 24. But if you go by the persuasive argument by the county assembly, it means in the absence of those three, only 21.3 people voted, rounding it.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 2 or 3 things. First is to correct the impression by Senator Boni Alwane that after we dispense with this PO, we are going to meet it again at the final stage of voting. Because that is not the case. Mr. Speaker, I heard you right. You remember in Kericho 2, the Speaker ruled that the PO should be subsumed into the main hearing. So when we are voting, we will begin voting with the PO. For now, what the Speaker has asked us to do is to vote on the PO, dispense with that matter here, and you're not going to meet the PO at another given time. So that should be very clear to members. That if we are done with it here, we're not meeting it again. Mr. Speaker, I asked Lawyer Kato Kigen a question, and I wanted to learn from him. I'm afraid I did not learn a lot. At what point does
a membership of an assembly determine? Mr. Speaker, you can tell me that a constitutional and legal requirement is a moving target. That becomes very tricky. That becomes very, very tricky, Mr. Speaker. Because what it means is this. It means that because us as a Senate, we vote as 24 delegations, if there is a vacancy in one delegation, then we must lower the threshold for voting. It means, Mr. Speaker, because the requirement for a presidential election is at least 24 counties, then if for some reason one of the counties does not participate, then we should lower that threshold. Mr. Speaker, I am still, and I will still need to talk to legal counsel at some point outside this chamber to understand how legal requirements can be moving targets that we keep pushing them to up and down depending on the number of members in the chamber. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the second PO on proxy voting, again, Senator Boni Awale got it all wrong. The voting in the Senate is by delegates. We don't have delegations in county assemblies. So it cannot be that a member of a county assembly representing one ward can ask another member of the same county assembly representing a different ward to cast a vote on behalf of that ward. That becomes a bit complicated. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to the majority leader, I've listened to the minority leader, I've listened to submissions from colleagues, and I've heard one thread that is running across: the search for justice. The county assembly wants justice from the Senate. The governor of Nyamira wants justice from the Senate. The people of Nyamira in totality are looking up to the Senate for justice. The Speaker, as I continue to listen and be persuaded by different members on the same subjects, I want to ask all of us to ensure that we just don't dispense justice, but let in the eyes of the public be seen to have dispensed justice. The Speaker, I submit.
Senator Ndaritu.
Asante Bwana Spika kunipa fursa hii. Kuanzia mwanzo, Bwana Spika, ni dhahiri shahidi ya kwamba tunachoangazia ni ikiwa kulikuwa na idadi tosha ya inayotakikana kumtimua gavana. Bwana Spika, inayohitajika kulingana na sheria ni dhuruthi mbili ambayo ilipaswa izingatiwe. Lakini Bwana Spika, kwa sababu tunajua kwamba sheria za Kenya, sheria hii ambayo inayonukuliwa kusema kwamba tunahitaji thuruthi mbili ni sehemu ya 33 ya sheria ya serikali ya county, Bwana Spika. Lakini Bwana Spika, vile vile hata japokuwa kwa tukiangazia hayo na vile kumesemekana ya kwamba haki ni mpaka ifuatwe, Bwana Spika, katiba ya Kenya katika kipengee cha 159(2)(d) kinasema ya kwamba haki itolewe bila kujali mno taratibu za kiufundi. Bwana Spika, vile ambavyo tungelitaka hata ijapokuwa Bwana Spika tunazingatia idadi, na tukiangalia vile ambavyo sheria ziko Bwana Spika, hii ni sehemu tu ya sheria za county Bwana Spika, na vile ambavyo katiba ya Kenya inasema ni ya kwamba tusifuatilie mno, Bwana Spika, taratibu za kiufundi. Bwana Spika, na kwa sababu katiba ndiyo sheria ambayo inapaswa kufuata, sheria zile zingine zote zifuatwe, ni sisi hapa tuangazie, Bwana Spika, ya kwamba haki itendeke. Na si haki kutendeka, haki inapaswa kuonekana ikitendeka, Bwana Spika. Nimeketi hapa katika seneti hii tulipokuwa tukiangazia, Bwana Spika, hizi wakati kaunti ya Nyamira walikuwa na vikao katika sehemu tofauti, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo mimi ningelitaka ya kwamba sio tu tufanye mambo hapa tukifuatilia vile ambavyo nimesikia ndugu zangu wakisema, tukifuatilia ndiyo sheria, tunafuata sheria, Bwana Spika, lakini haki inapaswa kuonekana ikitendeka kwa watu wote wa Nyamira, Bwana Spika. Na Bwana Spika, mwongozo wetu kama seneti, mwongozo wetu kama maseneta, mwongozo wetu kama nchi ni katiba ya Kenya, Bwana Spika. Na katiba nimeinukuu vizuri katika kile kipengee cha 159. Nasikia kiongozi wengi anauliza nimenukuu wapi, na nataka kumwambia kwamba haki itolewe bila kujali mno taratibu za kiufundi. Nashukuru Bwana Spika kunipa fursa hii, na ningewarai wenzangu, Bwana Spika, wafuatilie ndio haki iweze kutendeka. Haki kwa Nyamira ni haki kwa Laikipia. Haki kwa Nyamira ni haki kwa Kericho, Bwana Spika. Tulifanya hayo mambo hapa kwa Kericho, tukangoja, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo hata siku ya leo tutafanya hiyo haki, na sio kufanya haki. Haki inapaswa kuonekana ikitendeka kwa Wakenya wote. Nashukuru Bwana Spika.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the maxim of equity also say, he who comes to equity must come with clean-hands. Mr. Speaker, the fact that there was Kericho 1 and Kericho 2, that was enough to send a message. It is a matter of public notoriety that the threshold is known. It is 2/3, and the calculations were then done, even with experts, and that matter has been settled. Mr. Speaker, when in the same matter, in the national election, you say that the presidential elections are 50+1. There is no way you will come up with any other situation. If in a presidential election there is no one who garners 50+1, then there will be a rerun. And therefore, in this particular case, we should adhere to the law, 2/3. If there is no 2/3, Mr. Speaker, there is no case before the Senate. And I think this should go to every county assembly so that they will be very careful. The moment they are not garnering 2/3, that they know they have no business coming to the Senate, because the law is very clear. Mr. Speaker, there is also the issue of standing orders of the county. Mr. Speaker, all the law in the country follows the Constitution, then it follows statutes, and then whatever is made under the standing orders must conform with those two, Mr. Speaker. So you cannot have standing orders which allow a delegation of a further delegation, because delegated power, you see, the assembly exercises delegated power of the people, and a person whose power has been delegated to cannot delegate further, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it is better that every now county assembly in the country learns this, because impeachments have no time limitation. You can even impeach even 1 week to the general elections. And there is always an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to come back again for the county assembly. And we have seen Kericho 1 and Kericho 2. And the most important thing, Mr. Speaker, in these circumstances is to follow the law, and then all of us are equal before the law, and then do the right thing so that we can save the Senate's time and also the Assembly's time. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo Watangwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I became a senator, I used to follow the proceedings of this House. And one senator for Siaya then, James Orengo, said that impeachment is a political process. And I think so many people took him seriously. And you can even hear from Senator Cherargei, they still believe impeachment is a political process. But Mr. Speaker, I say the mandate to impeach is sacred. It's not political. It cannot be used to be a political weapon or try to intimidate or to coerce, Mr. Speaker. That's why this House must follow the law. And we must follow the law from the beginning, Mr. Speaker. Because we have heard here, even from the leader of majority, it has happened before. We had governors who were impeached by the Senate, yet there was no threshold at their county assemblies when they were impeached. That is the governor of Kiambu, Governor Waititu, the governor of Nairobi, Governor Sonko. We have had two cases of governor of Kericho, who is currently sitting. In Meru, we also had almost something similar to that, and this one, Mr. Speaker. So we should use this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to ask ourselves, now that we have seen there are rogue speakers out there in the county assemblies, do we enhance our standing orders to make sure that the speakers must stand here even before the governors stand to take an oath and say, yes, I'm here and I brought these numbers, and they can be held personally liable, Mr. Speaker, because we do not have to agree with anything that comes from the speakers from the county assembly if we are not given an opportunity to scrutinize, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, should we also ask that we be having Hansard live footage and coverage when these impeachments are going through? Mr. Speaker, should we be asking for signed confirmations by the MCAs who have impeached someone? Today here, and I will demonstrate that today, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to voting, by not voting through the processes, to show that I'll be called over there to go sign somewhere to show how I voted. Can't we ask the members of the county assemblies when the impeachments come, they should sign somewhere, I voted this way, so that, Mr. Speaker, we do not eject governors because someone somewhere played politics, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so when I listen to this motion, I ask myself, do I proceed with this motion as it is? Do I proceed with the impeachment of these governors, of the governor of Nyamira as it is, Mr. Speaker? That is a question I'll be answering at the end. But again, Mr. Speaker, we have had some governors are sponsoring their own impeachments so that they can garner sympathy from their people, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes they coerce with the speakers, take no numbers in there so that I can be kicked away home, and I'll say the speaker, the Senate saved me, Mr. Speaker. So again, I ask myself, if I send them home, was it the case that the governor of Nyamira probably sponsored it? Because I saw him the other day, saying that we have joined broad-based, trying to coerce this Senate, that, Mr. Speaker, I'm now in the side of the government, so I know when I go to the Senate, I'm going to be sent back home. So I'm asking myself those questions here today, Mr. Speaker. So the best thing is to go full throttle, Mr. Speaker. Let's listen, so that we can also take this opportunity. I have never met the governor of Nyamira. Let me see him today speak here. Let's ask those questions that people or the MCAs are asking, Mr. Speaker. But again, that is something I'm thinking about. I might be persuaded when we are done with the debate on this issue, Mr. Speaker. But what I would want to urge this Senate, let us withhold, let us follow the rule of the law when it comes to this process, because going forward, we could become governors, and we wouldn't want, Mr. Speaker, to be brought here by a speaker probably who wants to overthrow a governor. And Mr. Speaker, the law is very clear. It says once an impeachment is processed at the county assembly, the Speaker of the county assembly shall write to the Speaker of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, if you look at that, the wording of that, any speaker can go to any lodging, can go to any room and just write that to the Speaker, either without the processes being followed, just himself, Mr. Speaker. So does that mean that anything the Speaker brings is gospel truth, that we can just process it without asking how they attained to that point, Mr. Speaker? So as I stand, Mr. Speaker, I'm thinking on how to vote, and you will call me there, and I will demonstrate how it's done, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Senator Wasochi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, indeed I want to support the comments in your ruling, that indeed looking at the circumstances of this matter and also looking at the Constitution, the threshold of 24 was not met. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the Constitution, Article 97, which talks about the membership of the National Assembly, and also Article 98 that talks about membership of the Senate. It gives you it implies that the Senate and the National Assembly, their membership is defined in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Article 177 that talks about membership of the County Assembly also implies the same. So you cannot say, Mr. Speaker, and I want to agree with the other members,